Welcome to this next episode of VCF Breakroom Chats. My name is Jay Tontakodi. I'm a product marketing manager in the VCF division here at Broadcom. In these Breakroom Chats, we bring VMware experts, customers, and partners to discuss technologies, solutions, trends, or any topic that is of importance to IT practitioners. Joining me in this episode is Katrina Brookfield, who is the staff technical marketing architect in the VCF division, helping customers with their private cloud journey. Welcome to this episode, Katrina.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. As you all know, VCF 9.0 has been shipping since June this year. And in this episode, we will demonstrate the self service experience that helps cloud consumers deploy workloads faster and smarter. And since this episode is all about demonstration, I'm going to restrict myself to just one question, Katrina. And that has to do with the cloud experience that customers get with their private cloud journey. So, if you can give us a little bit of insight on that as you get ready to demonstrate this experience, that would be fantastic.
Hey, yes, let me talk about that. So, as we've been talking about this for a while, you know that we are really trying to deliver this private cloud experience. But what does cloud experience actually mean to our customers and to our users? Well, typically, when you start thinking about what that means, you can start maybe thinking about two personas. On one side, it's all about the consumer. Our users who are deploying workloads and applications, and they need access to loads of services, and they need to be able to have the really self-service capabilities, being able to do the needed tasks, access to a lot of functionality. But at the other side, we do have our cloud admin. And the cloud admins are the ones who still need to stay in control of the infrastructure of the platform. They need to put in some governance and some policies in place to be able to allow the consumers to do what they need to do while still sticking to the company policies. And these two personas are really nicely coming together, with cloud admins being the ones who are enabling all of this functionality for their consumers, and then consumers just coming in and having this proper cloud experience. So in order to demonstrate that, I will show you a little demo. We will start with the perspective of the consumer, deploying a Kubernetes cluster using our vSphere Kubernetes service. And then we'll look at the kind of background with Cloud Admin. So let me quickly start that. So in this view, you will see that as a consumer, I'm logged in to our brand new VCF 9. I'm in my portal and I see overview of all the services that are available to me to consume. So as I mentioned, in this demo, we will go through an example of deploying a Kubernetes cluster. Now in here with VKS, we made it really easy and simple to deploy Kubernetes clusters and manage them and create them in a way as you require. So you can always use the user interface to provide options for your cluster, like for example, selecting the name, selecting the version that we want to deploy of a Kubernetes cluster, and then maybe adding some further configuration, like, for example, if you want to control certificate rotation directly from this flow, you can do that, as well as some advanced networking options that you can do directly in the user interface. And then moving on to the configuration of the control plane of this VKS cluster. So here we defined number of replicas we're deploying, the VM class, which defines the hardware resources for our nodes, like CPU, memory, maybe any other devices like PCI devices that we want to connect. Then we can select from operating systems. In terms of images, we do distribute Photon and Ubuntu, and this is distributing using our subscribed content library. So all of the images are distributed automatically. And once we configure our OS for our control plane, then we can move on to configure our node pools. So in this example, I can just create a node pool with one replica, again, do sizing, but also I can do some further configuration. For example, if I want to add labels directly during the deployment, I can do that, or some taints. That's always useful. So I can just go ahead and do that here. And then moving on, if I want to maybe add additional space for and create additional volumes, I can do that directly from this flow. So in here, we can also demonstrate how the platform is really easily integrated with all of the underlying infrastructure, including your storage and networking, which are all part of VCF9. So once I've defined my node pool, I could then go ahead and create additional node pools, maybe with different sizing, different operating systems. Because for node pools, we can also follow processes to create OS images for Windows-based. If you do have any Windows containers, that's always helpful. After I've finished my configuration, I can just proceed. And this YAML manifest that defines the full cluster has been automatically created for me directly in the user interface. So I can just scroll through this, see all of the options that I have selected, but I can also download it if I want to reuse it later. And with that, I can just finish this deployment and just wait for my cluster to become available and ready. And once I have the class ready, I can also review all of those other resources that we have requested during the deployment. So under volumes, we saw the persistent volume. Under network service, we see the load balancer that was automatically created for us to form the control plane of this cluster. And because our VKS clusters are made up of virtual machines, you can see those listed under virtual machines as well. So a full overview directly in the same user interface for me as a consumer. And now let's quickly talk about the other side, and that's the cloud admin. So as a consumer, when I'm deploying, for example, my clusters, and I'm selecting versions that are available to me, I do have a list of vSphere Kubernetes releases listed in the user interface that I can use for deployment. Now, as you are probably aware now, we are releasing our VKS um, with new functionality and new versions really, really, really rapidly. What that means is that we need to update the version of the service in order to unlock new versions of Kubernetes releases that we have distributed. So in here, for example, I can see as a consumer, I only see version 1.32 listed. But I may know that there's already a new service available, which allows me to do version 1.33. I can also do this from the command line if I prefer, just to list all of the releases that are available to me. And then I can immediately see whether they are compatible with the platform or not. And this is where the cloud admin comes in, because this really needs to stay within their governance, and they are the ones who have access to the infrastructure. So in order to update the service, it's really, really simple. All they have to do is check the current version that is installed, which is the embedded version, for example, this one, 3.3. And then they can just follow the links directly to download the new version of the service. All of these manifests are stored on our support portal. So they can just go in there and grab the latest version. These are defined in, again, manifests that we can just download and then go ahead and add a new version of the service. Upload that, what they have just downloaded. And once they add a new version, we will see that the number of active versions will change. And then we can go ahead into the manage service action, select the version we wish to install, select the supervisor we are installing this to, and just proceed. The cloud admins don't need to add any additional configuration, so they just finish this operation. It's really as simple as that to update the service. And after a couple of minutes, we'll see that the service is back to being configured and updated to the new version. And if we check those versions or those releases that were available, we can now see that they are compatible. And just to tie it back to the user interface, what we then can do is just to verify that this new version is already visible as well. I can go ahead and deploy a new cluster. This time, I'm going to select the default configuration because that automatically selects the latest available release
Mhm.
in this in this. So I can see that's version 1.33, and I can just go ahead and deploy a fully managed and configured Kubernetes cluster within 2 clicks.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for giving a quick visual journey of what the cloud consumer experience looks like, but at the same time also showing the ability for cloud admins to offer that experience in a very consistent manner with a level of customization that may be specific to departments or organizations within the enterprise. I appreciate you joining me in this episode, Katrina, to show this demo.
Thank you very much, and I hope to see you soon.
Sure. If you enjoyed this episode, join us for the next one. This is your host, Jay Tontakuri, with Katrina Brookfield. Signing off for now. Cheers. Bye. Have a good day and a good evening.